It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Todd Marquardt, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquardtlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. On the radio, on podcasts, everywhere, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on talklawradio.com. Blake Newberry is here with us today, attorney at Marquardt Law Firm, going to be talking about probate and estate planning. But first, let's check in with Steve Warren, who has our financial focus today. Steve is the president of Financial Planning HQ. They do financial planning for successful people who want to have a CEO take over the coordination of all their subject matter experts. I'll let you explain in just a moment, Steve.
Sure thing.
By the way, welcome back.
It's great to be back in the saddle again here at Talk Law Radio. Thank you.
Awesome. Last week, we ended with a question our audience could ask their financial advisor about whether their financial plan is currently on track. What does on track mean to our audience?
For your audience, it means that, well, let me just relate it to our clients. So for our clients, it means that your financial behavior and progress align with the specific milestones that you convey to us and the objectives that you have expressed to us. And Todd, a typical client will have at least 25 objectives within the 5 core planning domains: the tax, legal, insurance, every type of insurance that exists, risk management, if you will, wealth management, and also financial planning. And if a client is off track, we will then prescribe specific strategies and actions to get them back on track. And then probably the most important thing, other than the strategy, is the action. So we hold them accountable to do what needs to be done in order to get back on track. And within within the written strategy, there's we call it a greatest probability strategy, and it's the action plan. So that gets recited, what needs to be done, who's responsible for getting it done, and when it is done, and then we check it off. So there's like a checklist of things that, the client needs to get done. And so that live action plan, if you will, gets shared with all of the subject matter experts, like their CPA, their attorney, so on and so on. So everybody's on the same page.
That's good to be on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, you had another question to ask the audience.
Oh, yeah.
On a scale.
The question that I wanted to ask your audience, because the first thing that we do when we meet with a potential client is we complete their financial roadmap. And to a large degree, it's the why part of having an inspiring financial strategy. So an advisor needs to be very competent in asking great questions, taking notes, and facilitating a great experience, listening with empathy. So let's ask your audience a question on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being an absolute disaster and 10 being a role model for the planet. How would you rate your financial advisor's understanding of your personal values, your life aspirations, and your financial objectives as it's related to the 5 planning domains? So let's think about that for just a second.
Yeah, and what if the people in our audience answer with a 6 or a 7?
Then they should give us a call, Todd. So again, my name is Steve Warren, and I can be reached at 210-685-2722.
And what is the financial roadmap meeting like?
Well, it's a meeting where I facilitate a tremendously great experience, and I take a lot of notes, ask a lot of questions, and everything gets placed on a big visual worksheet, the financial roadmap. It's a big physical document, 17 by 22 inches. And from there, we decide whether or not we're a good fit to work together. This meeting takes about an hour to complete, Todd. And again, I'm asking a lot of questions and just taking a lot of notes and finding out what's important to the client, the goals that they have that require money and planning to achieve, the name of the goal, by when they want to achieve it, how much money does it take to achieve the goal, and what are 2 or 3 words to describe what you're thinking and feeling now that you've achieved the goal. So it kind of takes them out into the future. It's an inspiring document, and if we work together, that is part of an overarching strategy, the foundation to build a written plan from.
I don't know that I've met an inspiring financial planner. I would imagine that your phone is just ringing off the hook, because usually financial planners just have one goal. Let's collect your money and invest it. And so for you to be inspiring and providing a great experience, I would imagine you have lots of calls. How do you decide who to work with?
How do I decide who to work with? We work best with people that are financial delegators. So that would be a personality type that would rather delegate the enormous task of getting their financial house in perfect order rather than to do it themselves. Right? Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So if a person is a financial delegator, and I do have a written ideal client profile. And that's the top one, financial delegator. I like to work with people that, express gratitude. They're passionate about their goals. Of course, I don't know that going into a meeting, but I can sense that during the meeting. And, I have some other personality characteristics. And, the main thing is the financial roadmap experience, Todd. It'll deliver value even if we don't work together, like I did one today that I was telling you about. And, I know that she appreciated it and expressed gratitude. Thanks for putting everything in perspective. And, the main thing that your audience should also know is that there's no strings attached and there's really no downside to having a financial roadmap. And so no obligation. And, of course, to your audience, there's no cost as well.
Okay. Tell us more about why our audience should give you a call right now.
Well, your audience probably, I would say they probably have a financial advisor, and more than likely they don't have a comprehensive written lifetime financial strategy. I know this because surveys show that most people don't. 63% of people that were in a recent survey not too long ago, they are not confident that their advisor is proactively providing them with a comprehensive written lifetime financial strategy. So just the absence of that means that you don't have a plan. Artemis 2 is going to the moon. I'm sure there's a very detailed plan on every aspect of that mission.
Right.
And it's definitely written. It might be a couple 100 pages long. So having that plan, just gives your audience a better edge at achieving their goals and actually, living out the things that are important to them. And that's the main reason. Having a plan is just so critically important. And, it all starts with that financial roadmap meeting.
How much does it cost for you to help somebody with the financial roadmap?
For your audience, it's complimentary, so there's no strings attached. So it would cost them about an hour and 10 minutes of their time. And in addition to that, a little bit of time in gathering up their financial documents, because we do require that they bring in what we request on a financial document checklist. So that takes a little bit of time. But you know what? People often will say that, just that exercise alone in me getting everything together and organized was a good one. And so, it takes about an hour and 10 minutes and plus a little bit of time to gather documents. And, you just want to come in with an open heart, open mind, and be prepared for a great experience.
Awesome. Some people go to what they call a certified financial planner for a financial plan.
Yeah.
How is what you do different from that?
It's probably different. First of all, I know that there are no advisors that actually use the financial roadmap as a foundation, a document like that. So we're different in the sense that the things that are important to a client are going to be listed in the financial plan. So the financial roadmap gets incorporated into that written document. And the other thing that I haven't seen in financial plans when I do see them is actually clear objectives on what the client wants to achieve. Strategies to address those objectives. A tactical plan, an action plan that is shared with all of the subject matter experts that touch the client's lives. And so that's often missing. And I know that some advisors do financial plans, but I would say that your audience probably lacks that accountability piece, of actually having an advisor that cares so much that they're going to hold you accountable to do what you need to do. And your audience deserves that. They really do. It's just like if you go to a fitness coach and you are, trying to get in better shape, it's good to have a coach to kind of push you along and hold you accountable to do what you need to do. So if this should appeal to anybody in your audience, we can complete your financial roadmap, and it takes about an hour and 10 minutes. Bring your financial documents in. You'll definitely have a valuable experience, and that'll happen whether we do business or not. So, again, my name is Steve Warren, and with Financial Planning HQ, and I can be reached at 210-685-2722. That's 210-685-2722.
Thank you for the financial focus. We got to take a break. We'll be right back with Blake Newberry talking about probate and estate. Are you confident about your financial future? What if you had a clear financial roadmap and a team holding you accountable to make the best financial decisions no matter what? At Financial Planning HQ, Steve and his sons, Joseph and Jacob, have been helping San Antonio families since 1987 with inspiring, intelligent financial strategies. Whether it's achieving or maintaining financial independence, becoming more tax efficient, or building business wealth, we create a comprehensive, written lifetime financial strategy that's uniquely yours, based entirely on what's important to you. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Call Financial Planning HQ today at 210-685-2722. That's 210-685-2722. And take the first step towards financial clarity. That's Financial Planning HQ, inspiring financial strategies for San Antonio. Remember, 210-685-2722. I'm Todd Marquardt. A lot of people think trusts are only for the wealthy, but that's simply not true. If you want to avoid probate, maintain your privacy, protect your assets, or make things easier for your family, a trust might be exactly what you need. I'll help you understand your options and decide what's best for your unique situation. Let's talk. Call 210-530-4278 or visit marquartlawfirm.com today. Do it before you die. In the beginning, God had one law. Then he gave Moses the 10 Commandments. And now we have municipal, state, and federal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws that might impact you without you knowing it. So listen in to Talk Law Radio Saturday mornings, Sunday afternoons, and anytime on podcasts everywhere, Facebook and YouTube. You can listen while you're walking the dog, washing the dishes, or working in the garage. Today we have Blake Newberry, who's an attorney with Marquardt Law Firm. He focuses on probate, estate planning, and guardianship. And so we're just going to get to know him a little bit better now. Blake, you come from a background in bankruptcy, and so we want to talk a little bit about that. But first, tell us the story about how you moved from Kentucky to Texas.
Absolutely, and thanks for having me back. I know I was on a little while ago, I think about a year ago or so. But yeah, so grew up in Kentucky and graduated from Western Kentucky University and got my first job working at Fruit of the Loom, doing inventory analyst work for them on the Sears Kmart accounts. That company is no longer around. So I unfortunately lost my job, but in that meantime, I had this inkling in my brain of maybe I want to go to law school.
Mm-hmm.
I had heard people talk about it my senior year of college. I was like, this might be interesting. So I told my fiance, who I met at Fruit of the Loom at the time, I was like, I think I want to go to law school. So I took the test, applied to all the schools here in Texas because she's from Corpus. And so she said, I just want you to know if we stay together, I'm going to drag you back down there. And I said, I don't have an allegiance to Kentucky. I like it here. My family's here, but I like Texas. So applied to all the schools, the big schools in Texas, got into majority of them but UT, and then went to A&M for law school. Got into bankruptcy for a little bit after that, but always knew estate planning, probate was the area that I was passionate about. And so saw your posting for the job at the time that I applied, and that's what got me down here.
Yeah. I think I remember that you did some clinic work at the law school as a student attorney. And is that where you got introduced to estate planning?
Really, it was the wills class. I remember taking wills and estates, and it just kind of clicked. Mm-hmm. I was able to understand it really well, trust as well. They were some of my best grades in law school. And I tried to do the estate planning clinic my second year, but it filled up very quickly. So I did it my third year. And that's where I knew after doing that this was the area I really wanted to go into to help individuals and help people and their families.
Awesome. So what is it about estate planning and people and their families that you thought they needed help?
So, I mean, I guess I'm lucky to where I didn't have a lot of deaths in my family when I grew up. But my uncle passed away, and just seeing my grandparents kind of navigate his death, and my little cousins at the time, he passed away from cancer, and my cousins were like 10 and 6 years old. Just seeing that and seeing how it affected them. But really, I have always wanted an area of work, whether it was law or not, when I graduated college, that had an impact on people, that I could do something that was beneficial to them. And seeing estate planning and how it helps them prepare their legacy for their families and let them know exactly how they want it done is what enticed me to focus on this area and pursue it as a career.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Your passion really does come through. So after you graduated, you worked for a bankruptcy firm. Tell us what bankruptcy work was like.
It was a little depressing. You have a lot of people who are struggling financially, and they don't feel like there's really any way out. Now, bankruptcy is a necessary thing. I mean, I think a lot of people should take more advantage of it, but they worry about the implications and how it looks in society. But it was very tedious. It was very kind of heartbreaking at times for why people were filing. And so it was still nice to help them in a way, though. Help them get out of the financial rut they may be in and be able to come out clean and move forward with their lives after they get out from under the debt.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you were able to help them in that time of need. There are a lot of practice areas where people need an attorney to help them get out of trouble. And so I did criminal defense after I got my law license because it was so hard to find a job.
Yeah.
And I was telling my wife why I was helping them. You know, the Constitution says they can have representation and they need representation. And she said, well, why does it have to be you? So I also had the dream of being an estate planning attorney and elder law attorney. And so I kept looking for opportunities to do that. So I want to ask you about your family. I know that you're a husband and a father, so share with us something about them, as much or as little as you like.
Yeah, so my wife, Amanda, she's from Corpus originally, and then I have my son who is 5, going to be 6 in October, and then my daughter who will be 3 in August. So they're quite the rambunctious bunch. Mm-hmm. You know, you wouldn't think the younger sibling being a daughter would be as feisty as she is or fight her older brother, but she does. She holds her own whenever they get into their tussle matches. Mm-hmm. But no, it's great. Love them to death, and can't wait to see them grow.
What makes you happy?
Seeing them happy.
Okay.
And achieving my personal goals I set out for myself. Mm-hmm. And making sure that my family's taken care of.
Awesome. Great. Well, you've been working at Marquardt Law Firm with us for about 3 years, almost 3 years. Am I right about that?
It'll be 3 years in June, because that's when we moved down here.
Right. And so during that time, you've been learning the area of law. You've been learning how the office operates. And so I'd like for you to tell the audience, what do you like about working at Marquardt Law Firm?
I like how you have entrusted me with figuring out complicated tasks that maybe other attorneys haven't accomplished in the firm. That I'm a big learner in a way of doing the task. Mm-hmm. I'm not a great learner of sitting back and reading it in a book and be like, okay, this is how you do it. Mm-hmm. So you giving me that opportunity and ability to have that autonomy, but also work with you and Daniel to further my legal knowledge has kind of been the best part about working there. I feel like I've learned 10 times more than I would if I was at a larger firm or even at a bankruptcy firm. I mean, I feel like I've learned a lot more in this short amount of time. Now, I know 3 years doesn't seem that short, but in legal terms, it's short to me.
Yeah.
So that's the big things for me.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Since you started working with us, what are you most proud of?
I'm proud of the work I've taken on, but also really just the work that we put out for clients, the protecting them, helping them with probate in the time of a very stressful period of their life, and trying to make that as smooth as we can to make it one less thing they have to worry about. That's probably what I enjoy most about the probate work, is helping those families not have one more stress they have to worry about with court. Now, people are always going to stress, but I hope to alleviate it in some way.
Right. Yeah, they're grieving. They're trying to figure out how to move on from that.
Yes.
And then they have all this legal stuff that they don't know much about. Yes. So I tell them, can't solve all of your problems, but I can help you with the
Yes.
legal stuff.
Yes. I try to frame it in that way as well.
What do you think is next in your professional development?
I think just growing with the types of cases that we take as a firm, and really just continuing to learn. I mean, at the end of the day, as an attorney, you never stop learning. There's always new things you have to remember. And so I think it's just taking the gap from 3 years to 10 years and just cramming as much in as I can, because I think the saying out there is that you're not a full estate planner until 10 years in.
Oh, okay.
Is the kind of time frame they say, just because there's so much out there and it constantly changes.
Right. It takes a while to build up experience, but we share our experiences so that all of us can kind of get some additional knowledge and know how from the cases that you're working and the cases that I'm working. We kind of work together on that.
Absolutely. And using your expertise has been very beneficial.
Awesome. We're talking with Blake Newberry, attorney at Marquardt Law Firm, about probate and estate planning. And next segment, we're going to be talking about some hidden legal issue blind spots in probate, estate planning, guardianship, elder law, business law, and estate planning generally. If you have questions about this kind of thing, you can email Todd at Marquardt Law Firm, TODD at M as in mother, ARQUAR, D as in David, T as in Timothy, lawfirm.com. Or if you're interested in being a guest on Talk Law Radio, email host at talklawradio.com. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. Now it's time to discover your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio. We have Blake Newberry, attorney with Marquardt Law Firm, with us today talking about hidden legal issue blind spots in estate planning and probate. Blake, what's the number one estate planning mistake you think that costs families money and drama?
Doing either no estate plan or trying to do an estate plan online, trying to avoid the attorney, doing it on your own, and not fully understanding the impact of a decision that's written in the will. I've seen wills that have potentially illegal provisions based upon what they're saying in a contest, because there are a lot of contest provisions out there that say if you contest this will and you win, so the will is invalid, you get $1. And I'm like, you can't, no, if you win, you get your share. So there's a lot of things out there that people attempt to do to save money that in the long run cost them a lot more money.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of those examples. The law has changed over time. When I started practicing, the federal estate tax exemption was $1 million. And this year, the federal estate tax exemption is $15 million. So I think that another problem that people might have is that their estate plan back in 20 years ago was drafted more complicated.
Yes.
And so not only is it going to be complicated for their surviving spouse going forward, but the provisions that save money on federal estate taxes can possibly hurt the surviving spouse with income taxes. What changes have you seen, and what can people do to avoid being left behind?
Yes, I mean, the biggest changes I've seen for myself in the 3 years is really the estate tax going up for me, because it was 13-something million. Now it's 15. But really, I would say, there's a lot of people out there who either think they have a simple plan that's very complicated, or they, like you said, they have a very complicated plan when they really need a more structured, streamlined, straightforward plan. And so I think one problem, like I said, is the people who don't think they have a lot, and then you talk to them, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, you've got $30 million in assets. If this estate tax goes down, we either you need to watch out for it, or we need to plan for it. But really, I would say too, it's just making sure people's plans align with their needs. Because sometimes people's life changes, family dynamics change, and they look at a plan that was done 20 years ago and they say, oh, I don't talk to that person anymore, or that person's gone. And so it's just making sure that, too, that their plan is in line with what their needs now.
Yeah, I have a few clients recently that are naming people to be executor, agent, successor trustee that are about the same age as them. And so they have that concern. Well, what if he dies? Well, we name some alternative successors. And my advice is, have dinner with them, every so often and think to yourself, is my brother still a good candidate to be my agent and successor trustee? And so you might have to update these things. And that shouldn't be a surprise because we do maintenance on our cars. We do maintenance on our house. And so sometimes you have to do maintenance on your estate plan.
Yeah. No, I agree with that completely. Something that's in my own estate plan, I have my mom as our first trustee. Secondary, I have my brother and sister-in-law. But in my mind, I still have that constant thought of, okay, well, what happens? Do we update it when my mom passes away, or do we just let it flow via the successor language and go from there?
Right. Many people think, I have a will, I'm fine. What's dangerous about that blind spot?
The assets have to likely go through court, and that's the most dangerous thing is that, or the will is just not prepared correctly. So let's just assume the will is prepared correctly and everything is straightforward, exactly how they want. It's at that point as that they didn't do any kind of other steps to protect their assets. It now goes through court and is very public. You can go to the courthouse and look into any probate case as a person. You have that right to get documents. And so who knows who could go get the will and look at it and let the public know what's going on.
Yeah. You know what's fun is when somebody famous dies, you get a copy of their will to see what they have or what they have done. Back when Michael Jackson passed away, his will had to be filed for probate. But the primary beneficiary of his will was his living trust. So he had done some additional planning. There must have been some reason, maybe an asset was left out of the trust that they had to go through the probate process. But I always like to find the wills of famous people.
Yes, and then you have Prince who didn't have one and caused all the issues.
Yeah. What do you remember about the issues?
Essentially, there was a huge issue with the heirs. Who were the heirs? Because all these people kept showing up saying, "Oh, I'm related to Prince. I want his assets." So then you have this huge public lawsuit not a lawsuit, but huge public court proceeding that is now getting viewed by everyone and trying to grab a piece of his pie.
Tell us about heirship. That's when the court has to judicially decide who's an heir, who's a relative of the deceased person, and who's not. Yeah. What is that process like?
It's taxing. It's very taxing whenever you have issues come up that I'll talk about, but you have to file its own application with the court. The court appoints another attorney that you have to pay. In Bexar County, it's standardized at about $600. Unless they do more work, then they have to ask the court for more fees. And then you also have to have people who are not part of the family, if possible, to come to court with you and talk to the judge and testify and say that, yes, what I'm saying is the truth and that these are the heirs of this individual. Or you run into an issue down the road to where you find out that one of the siblings passed away and they gave up kids. And now you can't find these kids. So you have to figure out a way to find them or do something. Otherwise, the court will hold the court proceedings in the probate as a whole until you can prove to the court that you've done your due diligence of getting them served or notice in some way.
Right.
So the heirship just poses more issues because now it's public who your heirs are, but you also have the issue of maybe there's people out there you didn't know about.
Yeah, you have to find them. There was one case where we didn't know that one of the decedents had children 40 years ago from a different spouse who all lived in Mexico. And so Juan had to help us navigate how to find information in Mexico, because those people have to be served with a copy of the heirship proceeding, the citation, and a copy of the pleadings and everything, because they have to either come to court or agree that it can proceed without them.
Mm-hmm. I'm always, when people come and they're like, what do you suggest? And I'm always like, well, it's your documents. You have to make the decision. But I kind of lay out on a timeline. I'm like, worst is having nothing. Good is having at least a will. Best is, if necessary, a trust. Mm-hmm. Because that allows you to keep everything private and allows you to control your assets in a much simpler manner down the road of getting it to your family.
Right. I'd like to tell people you can make it easier for them, by doing the living trust, because then that means the testator, the person creating the trust today, is going to have to do a little bit more work to make sure it's properly funded. So I wanted to ask you, besides drafting last wills and living trusts that are more comprehensive and customized than other attorneys and online document sales, how do we help our clients make sure that their estate plan works?
I would say the meetings. The meetings beforehand, the meetings during the execution of the documents, and then also being available to those clients afterwards for any questions they may have. That allows us to give them good service. It allows us to show them that we care, but also build the plan exactly how they want, answer their needs, and potentially let them know of issues that might arise from the decisions that they're making.
Right. Yeah, we don't just do everything that they want. We have to give them some advice and say, maybe you shouldn't do it that way.
Yes.
And they appreciate that. Well, we're talking with Blake Newberry, attorney at Marquardt Law Firm, about probate and estate planning. We talked a little bit about last wills and living trusts. And we're going to get into the next segment about sinners and saints and legacy too. It's all about legacy. Mm-hmm. So stay tuned. Check in with Talk Law Radio on Facebook. Share it with your friends, because you need for them to have their affairs in order so that they don't drag you into court to testify about whether or not they had children. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Are you 100% confident that no matter what happens in the financial markets, economy, or world events, you will achieve your financial goals? If not, we have a process to get your financial house in perfect order and keep it that way forever. Your financial future shouldn't be a guessing game. Planning, advice, organization, and accountability are deliverables you should expect. For over 35 years, Financial Planning HQ has been San Antonio's trusted partner for comprehensive written lifetime financial strategies. Steve and his team, including sons Joseph and Jacob, don't believe in a one-size-fits-all approach. Instead, they create a personalized financial roadmap for you based on what's important to you. As an independent registered investment advisor, they're not tied to any big corporation's products. They work for you, creating inspiring, intelligent financial strategies that put your interests first. Call Financial Planning HQ at 210-685-2722. That's 210-685-2722. I'm Todd Marquardt. A lot of people think trusts are only for the wealthy, but that's simply not true. If you want to avoid probate, maintain your privacy, protect your assets, or make things easier for your family, a trust might be exactly what you need. I'll help you understand your options and decide what's best for your unique situation. Let's talk. Call 210-530-4278 or visit marquardtlawfirm.com today. Do it before you die. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with Blake Newberry, attorney at Marquardt Law Firm, talking about probate and estate planning. Now it's time to talk about the sinners and the saints. I like to talk about sinners and saints because I agree with Martin Luther, the famous theologian who nailed his 95 thesis to the church door, that we're all born sinners, but because of Jesus, we're absolved from our sins. And so I like to tie that into the law and talk about somebody who's done something bad and somebody that's done something good. And because I know you play golf, you like to watch golf, I wanted to ask you about Tiger Woods.
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel about Tiger Woods getting arrested?
I am saddened by it. It's unfortunate. It might end up being a good thing for him to get, but, you know, he's been in the public eye so much, and I thought he was going to have that great comeback, and then it's just gone downhill since the Masters win. But yeah, I mean, it just saddens me to see that he has not achieved the glory like we thought he would.
Right. How do you think Tiger Woods would be remembered if, God forbid, tragedy strikes and he died today?
He would be remembered as a scandal. He would be remembered as a great golfer, but he could have also been much better if he didn't have the issues that he had in his past.
Or what if he just didn't drive?
That too.
I mean, do you think he could afford a driver?
He's got more than enough money to afford a driver. I think someone asked him one time, they're like, why don't you hire one? He's like, I like driving.
Okay.
Yeah, he could just solve everything.
I think I'm going to tell Steve Warren, the financial planning HQ guy, to put that on my financial roadmap. Someday I want to have a driver.
Yes.
Just because San Antonio traffic is so bad. There's so many sinners out there cutting me off. And then, it causes me to act.
Oh, yes.
To react sometimes.
I was at a red light this morning on the way to the office, and this guy, it's not that big of a side, pulls up next to me and just runs the red light, and passed probably 10 cars to get there. So
it's
I
frustrating.
don't disagree with that.
So I don't have a saint per se, but try and think of some people that you've worked with, or that Daniel or I or Stetson have worked with, that you thought, that client is a saint. They're getting everything in order.
Yeah.
What was the situation like before and after, if you can remember something like that?
Yeah, so before it was, I can think of a lot of people, and so it really is the aspect of, they're older in life and they just have nothing. And then they've decided...
As in no plan.
No plan.
Yeah.
Yes. They don't have any planning. And they decide to take the step to plan and help their family out and make sure that all their assets are divvied up in the way that they want, whether it's one child getting one thing or another without it being verbal. There's nothing worse than a client coming to you and saying, well, Dad said I was supposed to get this, and it's not written anywhere. Yeah. And so that's not good evidence for a court.
Right.
And so I would say, as well as clients that update their plans, looking back, I have clients that they reviewed their plan and said, oh, our kids are older now. All this was for whenever they were little, in case something happened to us. And so just updating their plan to incorporate their new lives that they have. I also have clients that didn't have any kids, and they didn't know who to leave it to. And so just talking with them and helping them build their plan to charities and things of that nature to make sure that their legacy is left to something.
Yeah, I love it when people do charitable planning, because I think that charities are better stewards than the government. So if a service needs to be provided to needy people or for education or science or medical research, I say put a charity in charge of that money, because they have to file financials with the IRS, and the people that donate money are the people that are watching to see if they're good stewards of money.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay, well, now I'd like to talk about legacy.
And now it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy?
Okay, so
Sponsored by
attorneys at
Marquardt
Marquardt Law Firm, you and me, we focus on business and estate law, including last wills, living trusts, and tax-protected inheritance plans. I like to ask my guest about legacy, and you're the guest today. So I wanted to ask you, what insights have you learned about legacy from working with probate and estate planning clients?
I would say the biggest thing from working with these individuals and understanding legacy is just the individual way they want to help their families or a charity achieve their personal goals and achieve their personal insights and have their impact in family culture continued for generations.
Yeah, I like to ask this question. What do you hope that your beneficiaries will achieve by receiving an inheritance at all? And I used to think that they should have an answer about that. Like, this is what I want them to do. I'm the papa. I want them to continue my family legacy. But then I met this guy. He was very wealthy. I asked him the same thing. And he said he wanted his kids to achieve their own goals. Yeah. And so I realized that one of the family values was individualism and autonomy, and letting them do their own thing and trusting them that it's going to be something good. I think that that's probably a pretty cool family to live in, where you're given the opportunity to do that.
I would concur with that. I think that's something that my parents put to me and my brother. They said, we want you to just be good people, but go achieve your goals and dreams. And even if they don't succeed, at least you tried.
Right. You probably had some friends like this. I know I did, where they went into a profession because that was what was expected of them. The sons of doctors who became doctors, the sons of lawyers who became lawyers. And some of those people probably don't really enjoy what they're doing. They just did it because they were expected to. And then you have these other families that say, go and do whatever you want and we'll support you. Yeah. I think that that's really meaningful. So when you sit down with a client, how do you help them define what legacy actually means to them? Not just assets, but values and family harmony.
So just understanding their family dynamics and what they want to achieve for their kids if they have kids, or if they're leaving it to other family members, what they're wanting those people to achieve. It really comes down to the family, right, and what's going to happen and what they really hope for. Right. A lot of the times people say, I just hope they're happy. And then other times people say, I really want them to go do certain things. But at the end of the day, that's where the legacy comes into play, is you're leaving them something. What do you want them to do with it? And what do you want them to remember? Right.
You ever have clients that say, I don't want the kids to fight? I have a lot of those.
I think that is something that comes up all the time. Or they say, my kids won't fight.
Yeah, they say their kids are angels. The first step in preventing conflict and building family harmony is having something written, like a will or a trust, because then people aren't just guessing what their parents wanted to have happen. And the other thing is to write, if you want somebody to have a bank account, you know, you're allowed to name a beneficiary on your bank account, transfer on death, pay on death. I like to put it in the will or the trust that you did that. Because if you have everything divided in the will or the trust, but then you're giving one child this one account, they always wonder about that. They think, well, something's wrong because that's not being divided like the will or the trust is. And by the way, Junior probably told Mom that she had to do that. He probably coerced her. And so now Junior's the one that's in trouble with all of his siblings, and maybe he didn't do anything wrong. Maybe he didn't even know that she did that. So then your will or your trust is like a plan, even though the document itself is not going to dispose of that asset. It's still part of the plan because it lets everybody know that you did that on purpose.
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Or the inverse, you don't do anything. The family says, the kids, oh, yeah, we're going to split everything evenly. You can have this, you can have that. You can have the home. And then you get into a consult and they say, you know, they said I was supposed to have this. And you have to tell them, well, they legally own part of it now.
Right.
And you can't force them to do something.
Right. Yeah, so it's good to know. It's good to talk to a lawyer after your loved one passes away so that you can find out what your rights and responsibilities are. Thank you for being on the show. We have to end it. If you need help, call Marquardt Law Firm, 210-530-4278. We'll talk to you later.